Hello friends, Doom Eternal, it's out really soon and there's probably a bunch of reviews up now and people are talking about how fast it is and how the combat's better and how it's clearly got demons that are inspired by the From Software games. There's a lot to like in Doom Eternal. I've been having a blast playing it, but I'm not here to talk to you about the game. I'm here as a fan of video game books. I have a problem when it comes to books with video game names or art books or even strategy guides. I just love them. I hoard them. I read them obsessively, and thankfully the same can be said for the Doomslayer. There's this area of the Fortress of Doom which is kind of like your hub world that you go back to, hub zone where you can, upgrade stuff and unlock things, and it's where you choose your missions and whatnot. And he has like a personal quarters in the back which has some great references. You can apparently play Doom 1 if you collect enough discs. It's where all your bobbleheads go, it's where your weapons go. But at the back of the room there is a bookshelf. The top shelf is kind of parodies of popular fiction, but the shelf underneath that has some fantastic video game references, not just to old id Software games, but to games that are within the same genre and other games that have kind of been inspired by those. So let's go through them all and pick out the references. Okay, from right to left. First one up, My Buddy Superfly by Hiro Miyamoto. Hiro Miyamoto is the protagonist of Daikatana. Superfly is his kind of like, I guess, sidekick buddy. Daikatana, if you didn't know, is the game made by Ion Storm. Its lead designer was John Romero, who of course is one of the founding members of id Software. It's kind of always had a weird place in video game history as kind of this famous flop made by one of the preeminent first-person designers of all time, but a nice little nod, I think, to the original Master of Doom. That's one of the more obscure ones. Some of these less obscure, like Why I'm So Great Part 2 by Dork Norkum, would be a Duke Nukem reference. The next one, Devilish Daggers and Other Assorted Pointy Objects, is a reference to Devil Daggers, the sort of frantic, minimalist, first-person roguelike shooter, let's call it. I don't know. It's really fun. You should go play it if you never have. The next one is a wonderful reference to what was often considered the sort of biggest competitor to Doom and Quake, which is Unreal Tournament. This one, Liandry, A Brief History of Interplanetary Industry. Liandry being the mining corporation, which is kind of the main funder of the tournament games, as it were. The next one is Von Braun, Onboard AI System Technical Manual. The Von Braun is the ship from System Shock 2, and of course the AI system in that is of course Shodan, the sort of main antagonist of that series. Mesa Science Monthly, Predicting Unforeseen Consequences. This is obviously a reference to Half-Life, Black Mesa being the name of the base that you're in, the research facility, and Unforeseen Consequences, a reference to the third chapter of Half-Life, right after the Residence Cascade happens. UNATCO Training Manual Bomb Defusal is, I believe, a reference to Deus Ex. UNATCO is the, United Nations Anti-Terrorist Coalition, I think, which JC Denton, your character, works for throughout that. I'm not sure what the bomb defusal reference is about. If you have any ideas yourself, please put them in the comments below. The Spear of Destiny, a post-war deconstruction, is a reference to the sequel to Wolfenstein, The Spear of Destiny, which of course was one of id Software's biggest games before Doom came out. Living with Rage and Other Common Emotions in the Apocalyptic Wasteland, a reference to the, I was about to say classic id Software franchise Rage, but of course Rage 2 came out last year. I actually really liked Rage 2. The Strog, a transdimensional field study, a reference to the Strog or Strogue, I guess, depending where you're from, which is the main antagonist in Quake 2 and Quake 4. Remember in our interview with Tim Willits, he said that they wish they had called Quake 2 by its original name, which was War, because Quake 2 and Quake 4 are so different to Quake 1 and Quake 3. They basically exist in almost different universes, and he said that Quake 4 should have been known as War 2, which would have meant that Quake 3 would be Quake 2. Would have been all very confusing, but that's the Strog anyway, or Stroke. Retconned, The Life and Times of Flynn Taggart. This one's maybe the most obscure reference of the bunch. Flynn Taggart is the name of the protagonist in the novelization of Doom. So the Doom guy in that is called Flynn Taggart. Not really in the games at all, which is probably why they have called this book Retcon. From Nopefish to Dopefish, The Dope Tale. This is the ultimate id Software Easter egg, the Dopefish, originally from Commander Keen, and has popped up in a bunch of id Software games ever since. There's actually a fantastic Dopefish Easter egg in Doom Eternal that I won't spoil, one of the early levels, so keep your eyes out anywhere you might be fishing. Taitanga Off-World Travel Guide. Taitanga was the original name, I believe, in the design document of the planet or moon that Doom 1 was meant to take place on. There's a reference to it in Doom. I think it comes up in like a couple of graphics or maybe on the back of the box or something. So that's what Taitanga is all about. Cooking from Hell's Kitchen, Thy Flesh Consumed. Thy Flesh Consumed is the last chapter of Ultimate Doom, so I think that's what that's referencing there. To Pray or Not to Pray is a great Prey 2 reference. Prey 2, of course, made by nobody in the end. The original Prey, sort of a first-person shooter where you played as a Native American who was captured by aliens. Then Prey 2 was announced and never came out. There was that famous E3 trailer. And then Bethesda bought the name to Prey and just kind of gave it to Arcane when they were making their immersive sim Prey. We have a documentary on that Prey coming up on NoClip in the next few months. The connection there, of course, being Bethesda, because id Software is owned by Bethesda as well, so them and Arcane are sister studios, and the same is the case for Bethesda Game Studios, which is where the next game referenced is made. Vault Dweller Survival Guide, preparing yourself and loved ones for the inevitable nuclear apocalypse, a nice little reference to Fallout. So those are all the game ones, I think. The last one here, How to Comb Your Mustache by Clifton M. Fishback. I don't know what that is. I googled the name and a picture and gravestone popped up from a gentleman with a mustache. I believe also the grave he might have been involved in the armed services. I'm not really sure. I don't know what the reference is. I don't know if it's a reference I'm supposed to know, if it's a video game thing, or if it's a reference from somebody on the design team. I honestly have absolutely no idea. If you know, please let the rest of us in on it in the comments below. And that's the Doom Guy, the Doom Slayers book collection, a fantastic menagerie of classic first-person games. I guess that's the one thing that unites them all. That, and they're all pretty great games, right? I've warmed to Daikatana. It has its place. Thanks so much for watching this video and going through a little bit of first-person history with me. I like to nerd out on all the classics, and if there's any of these that you haven't played, maybe consider checking them out. There's a bunch of really good first-person games here that brought us all the way to Doom Eternal, which is definitely has its place on this bookshelf as well. All right, thanks for watching. See you around.